Hello everyone. Our topic for today is chapter number 1, sources of history. Now what do you mean by sources of history, students? अब आप history पढ़ते हो, right? तो आपको कैसे पता चलता है, like through what do you get all of these information, right? So now for now, as of now, you're reading this textbook, right? तो आपको हिस्ट्री के बारे में ये टेक्स्ट बुक से पता चलता है. तो टेक्स्ट बुक एक सोर्स बन जाती है, बराबर. देन समटाइम्स यू गेट टू नो इट through your parents, like your parents say you something about history, right? So that becomes an audiovisual medium when your parent is saying you something, okay? So all of these are sources of information through which you get to know about history, okay? So today we are going to learn all of these sources कि जिनके थ्रू आपको हिस्ट्री के बारे में पता चलता है. Till now we have studied the history of ancient, medieval and modern India. This year we have to study the history of India in the post-independence era, okay? That अभी तक हम लोग ने ancient, medieval, modern सबका history पढ़ा, but now we are going to talk about history which is post-independence area. Now what do you mean by post-independence? आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस, ओके. पोस्ट मतलब हम लोग बोलते हैं ना पोस्टपोन हो गया. पोस्टपोन मतलब क्या, थोड़ा आगे एक्सटेंड होना, राइट? सो पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस इज आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस. इंडिया का सिचुएशन, हाउ वाज द सिचुएशन ऑफ इंडिया आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस इज समथिंग वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न अबाउट. We can study history with the help of various sources like written sources, as I said you earlier. If you get to know information through textbook, then it becomes a written source, right? Material sources, oral sources and sources in the audiovisual medium. Oral sources जो हम लोग ने डिस्कस किया कि one which happens with your parents, right? कि जब आपके parents आपको history के बारे में कुछ बता रहे तो it becomes oral source. Then it is material source. कभी कभी क्या होता है, if you see, if you go to such museums or stuff like that, there is such objects, okay, which shows कि yeah, this belongs to a particular leader in the past or something like that, right? So that becomes a मटीरियल सोर्स के एक मटीरियल के थ्रू हमको पास्ट के बारे में पता चल रहा है, तो दैट अगेन बिकम्स अ मटीरियल सोर्स. एंड ऑडियो विजुअल के इफ देर आर समटाइम्स CD या टेप रिकॉर्ड्स जिनके थ्रू आपको हिस्ट्री के बारे में पता चल रहा है, देन दैट बिकम्स ऑडियो विजुअल मीडियम. द मॉडर्न पीरियड वी हैव टू टेक note of various sources at regional, state, national as well as international level. We can write history with the help of these sources, right? So in the modern period, if we want to write sources or if we want to get to know about sources, फिर ये सारी चीज़ें like regional है, state है, national level पे, मतलब क्या basically students कि अगर हम लोग इन सारी चीज़ों पे note रखें, if we take care of all of these points, then we can definitely, all of these things can help us to write sources, okay? Now first one is written sources. The following sources are included in written sources. अब written sources में आप क्या क्या पढ़ सकते हो? तो written sources में आपकी text book आ जाती है कि because of which you get to know, or there are example given below that because of newspaper you get to know, right? Periodicals. Now what do you mean by periodical, students? Periodical is kind of magazine, okay? Diaries हो गई, reference book हो गई, correspondence is when it's kind of letter, okay? जो letter के through बताते हैं ना, उनको बोलते हैं correspondence. Then documents in the archives. Now what do you mean by archives? देखो, do you know में नीचे लिखा है that the place where historical documents are preserved is called archives, okay? And the main office of the National Archives of India is at New Delhi, and it is again the largest among archives in Asia. तो archives क्या होता है, जिसमें पहले के मेन डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो स्टोर होते हैं ना, उनको बोलते हैं archives. So जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स which are stored in archives, उनके थ्रू हमको इंफॉर्मेशन मिल सकती है. गवर्नमेंट गैजेट्स. गवर्नमेंट गैजेट्स लाइक पहले के ज़माने की कोई होंगे गैजेट्स आर इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, ओके? पोस्टेज हो गया, पोस्टर हो गया, स्टैम्प्स हो गया और एनसाइक्लोपीडिया, ओके? सो ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स आर रिटर्न सोर्सेज के जिनके थ्रू इनमें लिखा गया है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ विच यू गेट टू नो अबाउट हिस्ट्री, ओके? Just as newspapers are considered to be fourth pillar of democracy in the modern period, there are also a major medium of information. If we consider the period from 1961 to 2000, we see that in the beginning there was no alternative to the print media, especially newspaper, right? तो जो हमें जैसे इंडिपेंडेंस मिला था उसके बाद से लेके 2000 का जो पीरियड था ना, उसमें there was no alternative, there was no options. वॉट ऑप्शंस टू प्रिंट मीडिया के अगर इंफॉर्मेशन है तो उसको प्रिंट कैसे करना है. नाउ डेज वी हैव प्रिंटर, राइट, सो वी कैन प्रिंट इट, बट एट दैट पर्टिकुलर टाइम वी डिडंट हैड एनी सोर्स. सो उस टाइम पे स्पेशली न्यूज़पेपर को कैसे प्रिंट करना है वॉज ऑलवेज अ बिग प्रॉब्लम. But with liberalization and widespread use of internet in India, an alternative for print media became available. Yet the print media will still continue to be powerful. But after we got freedom and internet का जो widespread use होने लगा ना, that everyone nowadays use internet, right? So because of the need of internet and because of our freedom, okay, इंटरनेट became like a useful process and उसके वजह से प्रिंट मीडिया आज हमारे पास अवेलेबल है. ओके, या द प्रिंट मीडिया स्टिल कंटिन्यूज टू बी पावरफुल, दैट न्यूज़ पेपर इज स्टिल पावरफुल नो मैटर वॉट. सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलता है या कुछ भी, बट प्रिंट मीडिया स्टिल हैज़ अ पावरफुल पॉइंट. नाउ न्यूज़पेपर, ओके, तो रिटर्न सोर्सेस में हम लोग फर्स्ट वाला जो सोर्स है वो देखेंगे न्यूज़पेपर. ओके, थ्रू न्यूज़पेपर वी कैन गेट इन्फॉर्मेशन अबाउट नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल अफेयर, पॉलिटिक्स, आर्ट्स, स्पोर्ट्स, लिटरेचर एंड सोशल एंड कल्चर अफेयर्स, राइट. एनीथिंग you can get about, like any information you can get from newspaper, right, be it international affair, politics, Bollywood, media, anything, right. आप जो भी पढ़ो, आपको अगर जॉब के बारे में कुछ चाहिए या any certain thing you want to know, you get to know it through newspaper. Newspaper contain materials related to human life. Most national newspaper have started the regional editions, right, like human life से related होता है. You get to know about scientific research, scientific topics पे you get to know some pages have this religious point of view जहाँ पे वो लोग सिर्फ religious information देते हैं. वैसे they publish supplements that give information about various topics, newsletters of various movements, the dailies or weeklies of political parties, monthlies and annual magazines are important among the print media, right, that they publish supplements. Now what do you mean by supplement, students? Supplement is basically a kind of information, an extra information जो हम बोलते हैं ना, उसको हम supplements बोलते हैं. तो there are like weekly information, like एक week में एक political party का क्या हुआ, तो एक week information होता है, एक daily information होता है. Okay, there's a daily information wherein they get to know that what a particular party has has been doing like daily basis पे, and then there is weekly basis कि उनका weekly program बताते, then there is monthly basis and then there is annual basis. Okay, so that is how magazines or newsletters are being printed, through which you get to know about certain things, like be it politics or parties or art, sports, anything. Some newspaper produce special supplements towards the end of the year that take an overview of the important events of the year. Take an overview of the important events of the year. Such supplements helps us understand the important events of the year, right. Most of the times अभी हम लोग ने you have seen, like अगर last में December में people they kind of make a video rewinding entire year of that particular year, right. So this is how they are saying that what particular magazines or newspaper do, that in the last month, like in the November and December month, they would publish events which took place in the entire year. Okay, what happened, what things that they do. now अभी समझो अगर December में print करना है तो what all events they can अभी समझो 2020 का ही करना है, तो this could be a different information, right. हमेशा कैसे होता है, yeah, they celebrated Diwali, Holi and all, but this was like something like all of us are in lockdown, right. So this information could be different, right, कि यहाँ पे कौन कौन से incidents आ सकते हैं. So there could be incidents like कि वो नहीं, कि हम लोग ने वी डिड हम लोग ने पीसफुल मूवमेंट करने के लिए घंटे बजाए थे, घंटियाँ बजाई थी, फिर जो भी डिश बजाए थे, जो मोदी जी का सपोर्ट था, राइट, कि फॉर ऑल द डॉक्टर्स, everyone, every social person who's working for the welfare of the people currently, right? So that is how all of these events would be mentioned. So that magazine would be something very informative to read or something very interesting to read, right? वैसा Press Trust of India, which is PTI. After 1953, the Press Trust of India has been an important has been an important source of primary details of all important events and of articles on important subjects. Okay, जो PTI है ना, okay, the Press Trust of India after 1953, 47 को independence मिला, तो 53 के बाद what they were doing is कि these were the major source के जो छोटी information भी हम लोग को मिलती थी ना, ये इनके थ्रू मिलती थी. तो important events हो गया या articles हो गया about various events, all of these information was provided to us because of Press Trust of India. Okay, Press Trust of India has provided reports, photographs and articles on financial and scientific issue to newspaper. PTI has now started its online service. During the 1990s, PTI started using the satellite broadcast technology instead of teleprinters to send news all over the country. Okay, तो अभी ये लोग न्यूज़ कैसे स्प्रेड करते थे, सबको कैसे बताते थे, तो बिकॉज ऑफ सैटेलाइट ब्रॉडकास्ट. ओके, कि प्रिंटर्स के थ्रू नहीं बताते थे, बट जो हम लोग के टीवीज़ आते थे, जो सैटेलाइट्स होते थे ना, उनके थ्रू दे यूज टू टेल इंफॉर्मेशन टू ऑल ऑफ द पीपल. ओके, this material thus this material is important for writing the history of modern India. So because of them, अभी अगर इन लोग ने PTI है जो, उन्होंने कभी पब्लिश ही नहीं किया रहता न्यूज़ या कभी बताया ही नहीं होता न्यूज़, तो इट वुड हैव बीन डिफ़िकल्ट, राइट. अभी हम लोग को पता ही नहीं चला होता कि वो पर्टिकुलर टाइम पे लाइक 47 50s 1950s में what all events took place, right? So because of them, it is important that such sources is now important for people to preserve all of those movements which happened in the past. Okay, next. Now coming to page number 2, do you know? Okay, so among the print media, the information contained in the annual issues of publications division of government of India is authenticate and trustworthy. Okay, कि जो information ये लोग publish करते थे, जो PTI था, वो हमेशा trustworthy होता था. Okay, now there was this example of Information and Broadcasting Department which was published in India 2000. ओके, सो जो इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग डिपार्टमेंट थी, उन लोग ने कौन सी बुक पब्लिश की थी? इंडिया 2000. ओके, इट वाज अ रेफरेंस बुक. अभी ये रेफरेंस बुक किसने क्रिएट की थी? तो इट वाज अंडर रिसर्च रिलायंस एंड ट्रेनिंग डिपार्टमेंट. तो दिस इंस्टीट्यूट, ये जो पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी था ना, ये लोग ने ये बुक में ऑल ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन वे पब्लिश. लाइक यू कैन सी द सेकेंड पैराग्राफ आर ऑल द टॉपिक्स विच वर बीइंग कवर्ड इन दिस book, which was India 2000, right from education, defense, environment, family welfare, social welfare, agriculture, industries, transport. like कोई ऐसा टॉपिक नहीं था जो ये बुक में कवर नहीं किया था, राइट. ओके, सो दिस बुक वाज पब्लिश्ड बाय, हम लोग ने ऊपर देखा कि इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग डिपार्टमेंट ने ये बुक पब्लिश की थी. तो दीज आर द सोर्सेज जो हम लोग को पक्का वाला एग्जाम्पल देते. ओके, द इंफॉर्मेशन विच इज़ बीइंग प्रोवाइडेड इज़ ऑथेंटिकेट एंड ट्रस्टवर्दी. ओके, सो दिस वाज ऑल अबाउट द बुक इंडिया 2000. नाउ कमिंग टू पोस्टेज स्टैम्प्स. ओके, हम लोग कौन सा सोर्स कर रहे हैं? रिटर्न सोर्स में वी सॉ न्यूज़पेपर एंड नाउ द सेकेंड वन इज पोस्टेज स्टैम्प्स. The postage stamps don't reveal anything on their own, yet a historian makes them speak. There have been several changes in postage stamps since India became independent. Okay, दैट यू हैव सीन, अगर आप लोग ने ये छोटे छोटे स्टैम्प्स देखे होंगे लेटर्स पे या ऐसे सब में पहले के ज़माने में होते थे. सो दे डोंट से एनीथिंग, they don't have any slogan or something like that. Okay, no lines are being mentioned, but just an historical image is being shown to us, and that is how you get to know about that stamp. Okay, and there were many changes after the independence. Okay, कि पहले के independence के जो ये थे stamps, they were different. Okay, they include faces of Britishers, but now after independence the faces were completely different. Postage stamps reveal a lot to us about changing times due to variety in the sizes of stamps, the novelty in their subjects and color schemes. Okay, what do you mean by novelty? Novelty is something new in the subject, so it keeps on changing. मे बी द कलर स्कीम, लाइक एक अगर आप पोस्ट देख रहे हो जो राइट हैंड साइड पे है तो इट इंक्लूड्स येलो बैकग्राउंड. ओके, सो द कलर कीप्स चेंजिंग, और मे बी द साइज ऑफ द post stamps keeps changing, or there is something new which they keep on adding. Okay, so it tells us very important things, like agar if you see there were stamps, I remember एक stamps होते थे जिसमें एक historic figure होते थे जिनको and there are other stamps which जिनके ऊपर जो historic figures की photos होती, that is completely different. So then you get to know okay, this is someone who you don't know. So these are the stamps which are very old. So that is how you get to know. Okay, so it reveals a lot about things happening around us. The postal department issue postage stamps on a wide variety of themes like political leaders, flower, animal, birds, an event, or the silver, golden, diamond jubilee, or century, bicentenary, tricentenary of different events. It is therefore a valuable repository of history. Okay, that it can be on any theme, no matter what. The theme could be political leader. As I said you, मैंने तो political leaders के बहुत देखे, फिर flower का भी एक दो देखा है मैंने. Okay, so there are various things which you, all of these themes. Okay, it can be on animals, it can be on birds, on this छोटा छोटा जो stamps है, postage stamps, वो किसी के भी ऊपर हो सकता है. Okay, now coming, see यहाँ का जो do you know है ना, that is very interesting. So this person whose name is Jal Cooper, okay, उनका ये जो stamp issue हुआ था, that was in 1977. Now he was a philatelist. Now what do you mean by philatelist? That is an expert on the subject of postage stamps के जो postage stamps का जो subject है उसके ऊपर जो expert है, the one who knows about it, वैसा. And he had a very keen information, a very keen passion about postages. Okay, about postage stamps. So he was very hardworking, and then it was his hobby. Okay, and then he made a very important role in the one which was, he founded the empire of Indian philatelic society. Okay, फिलेटेलिक सोसाइटी के जो इंडिया का फिलेटेलिक सोसाइटी था, मतलब क्या कि इंडिया का जो पर्टिकुलर पोस्टर वाला जो डिपार्टमेंट रहेगा ना, उनको उन्होंने फाइंड आउट किया था. ही वाज वन हु फाउंडेड आउट, ओके, द ओनर ऑफ इट. एंड देन ही स्टार्टेड हिज करियर इन पोस्टेज स्टैम्प कलेक्शन. फिर उन्होंने अपना करियर स्टार्ट किया, फिर उन्होंने बहुत कुछ ये फील्ड में अचीव किया, एंड दैट इज़ हाउ उनके ट्रिब्यूट में दिस पोस्टेज स्टैम्प बनाया गया है. ओके, दिस पोस्टेज स्टैम्प ऑन जल कूपर इज़ एन इम्पॉर्टेंट सोर्स टू अंडरस्टैंड हिज सिग्निफिकेंट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इन दिस फील्ड. ओके, नाउ कमिंग टूवर्ड्स मटीरियल सोर्स. ओके, पहले हम लोग ने कौन सा देखा स्टूडेंट्स? Return source में which one was there? The newspaper and the postal stamps. Now talking about material source क्या क्या हो सकता है? So if you, as I said earlier, if you go to museum and वहाँ पे there are certain objects, जिसके थ्रू आपको पता चलता है, you get to know about history, and that is how it becomes a source. So we will see कौन कौन से material source होते हैं. See, there are examples given below. That coins can be an example of materials source. के जितना पुराना coin होगा उतना history आपको जानने को मिलता है, right? Then places of worship can also be an source of history, right? That when you there are temples which are like 5,000 6,000 years ago, and according to it you get to know about द हिस्ट्री के वाओ वो टाइम का किसने बनाया था, हु वाज द ओनर ऑफ दैट टेम्पल, हाउ इट वाज बिल्ड, द सिचुएशंस अराउंड इट. So through workshop places also you get to know about history. Things in daily use, now things which you are using daily but which always keeps you telling about past. We will see all of these things. Royal seals, modern architecture. Okay, the modern architecture also belongs to the one which are inspired from past. That is how also you can learn कि अभी समझो मेरा architecture घर का it is sort of something like Mughals का है, I can say that I am inspired by Mughals ka architecture and that is how I've created my entire setup, and that is how you get to know. Okay, तो फिर किसी को पता चलेगा okay Mughals, फिर they will find out and that is how they learn history, right? Ornaments, जितने पुराने ornaments उतना आपको history पता चलता है. Museums, as I was explaining you all. Clothing, even cloth can describe, right? जितना पुराना cloth, if you have been to like सर्टन म्यूज़ियम्स, वहाँ पे तो मैंने एक में तो देखा था राजीव गांधी का जो उन्होंने लास्ट वो सोल्जर का ड्रेस पहना था. इवन दैट वाज आधा टॉर्न, आधा ब्लड स्टेन्स, एंड वैसा ही पूरा it has been displayed in a particular museum. So that is how also you get to know about history, right? So all of these informations like coins हो गए, workshop places, museum, they tell you about history. This becomes a material source. So now talking about the first material source, which is coin. We can also understand history with the help of coin and the changes in the printing of currency notes. Reserve Bank of India prints the notes. It has its headquarter in Mumbai. Okay, that because of coins also you get to know about past कि जितना उसका ये है क्या बोलते हैं उसका जो प्रिंटिंग है या जिसका उसका जितना उसका डिस्प्ले है, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट ऑल्सो यू कैन गेट टू नो अबाउट हिस्ट्री. एंड इफ इन केस यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट नोट्स, then the printing of currency also describes about history. Okay, so the Reserve Bank of India is a bank which print all the notes and उनका headquarters कहाँ पे है students? मुंबई में. The coin from 1950 to those used at present, the metals used for making them, their different shapes, the diversity of subject on them together help us to understand the important contemporary issues in India. Example, coins to convey the message of population control, and coins communicating the importance of agriculture and of farmers. Okay, now what happens over here is students कि जो coins 1950 से हम लोग यूज़ कर रहे हैं ना, उसमें एंड अभी तक जो हम लोग यूज़ कर रहे हैं द करेंट वन, देर आर मैनी चेंजेस इन देम. ओके, दैट देर आर मैनी differences in them that you get to know, and that is how you understand that all of जो changes उसमें took place हुए हैं. Like it can be on the shape of the coin. Like now मेरे पास ही students, if I was like last week I was collecting all the coins which I had, and I collected like 2 rupee का coin अलग से, 5 rupee का, 10 rupee का, एंड द पुराना वन जो 10 रुपीज़ का ये है, 5 रुपीज़ वाला जो कॉइन है सॉरी, वो एकदम छोटू सा, एकदम 50 पैसा जितना उसका साइज़ है. फिर जो 2 रुपीज़ है वो इतना जाड़ा है कि जो अभी का अपना 10 होता है उसके जैसा है. तो देर आर मैनी डिफरेंसेस इन द साइजेस ऑफ द कॉइन फ्रॉम देयर टू नाउ. ओके, एंड विच हेल्प्स अस टू अंडरस्टैंड द इम्पॉर्टेंट कंटेम्पररी इशूज़ इन इंडिया. ओके, लाइक एग्जाम्पल, कॉइन्स टू कन्वे द मैसेज ऑफ पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल. ये कभी कभी पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल के लिए भी एक साइन होता है, हम लोग कॉइन्स यूज़ करते हैं. या sometimes it helps us to understand the importance of agriculture in our country. के जो एग्रीकल्चर, जो फार्मर्स का इम्पोर्टेंस है वो हम लोग को हेल्प करने के लिए कॉइन्स यूज़ होता है. सो दैट इज़ हाउ कॉइन्स helps us to understand or to get to know the things happening in the past. Now talking about the next one which I was saying you all was museum, जो मैं कब से आप लोग को एग्जाम्पल दे रही थी. All states of India have museum that depict the characteristics and display the cultural and social heritage of state, right? That every state has its own museum and which explains about that particular stage, उनका culture, उनका tradition कैसा है, that is being explained in that museum. They enable us to understand history. Example, the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Museum at Mumbai, Reserve Bank Museum in Pune city, etc. Okay, that all of these are the examples of museums which we currently have in our स्टेट्स. ओके कि अपने इंडिया में अपने मुंबई महाराष्ट्र में छत्रपति शिवाजी म्यूज़ियम है. देन इन पुणे देर इज़ रिजर्व बैंक म्यूज़ियम. सच आर the museums in particular states which helps you to know about the culture and tradition of that particular state. Apart from the government museums, some private collectors also set up their own museums. They are based on distinctive subjects, example coin, notes, lamps and handcrafts, and lamps and auto crackers in different shapes, cricket equipments, etc. Okay, so all of these are government museums जो हम लोग ने पहले देखे. बट उसको छोड़ के there are some personal private people who create their own museum. Okay, so what do they display in that? So they display different coins which they have, or different notes which they have, different lamps which they have, different shape articles or certain objects which they have, cricket equipments अगर किनके पास बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं तो वो उसका पर्टिकुलर म्यूज़ियम बनाते हैं. वैसे तो ऑल ऑफ दीज आर द प्राइवेट वंस. ओके, जिनके जो खुद से बनाते हैं, जिनके पास एक पर्टिकुलर एक क्या बोलते नीच होता है ना. नीच इज़ अ पर्टिकुलर फील्ड इन विच यू हैव पर्टिकुलर अमाउंट. लाइक सपोज आई एम अ क्रिकेट लवर, तो मेरे पास बहुत सारे डिफरेंट टाइप्स के क्रिकेट इक्विपमेंट्स है. So I'll make a museum on which I will display all the equipments which are used in cricket. Also please forgive me, मैंने just अभी देखा कि जो second last word है, second line word, it is nutcrackers and I was saying auto crackers, so I'm so sorry. Nutcrackers in different shapes. Now what do you mean by nutcracker, students? Nutcracker is basically an instrument, okay, जो नट को कट करने के लिए यूज़ होता है ना, that is called as nutcrackers. So there are certain people who have vast variety in those instruments, so even they can publish their own इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स. और फिर एक ये बना सकते हैं एग्जीबिशन टाइप या एक म्यूज़ियम टाइप बना सकते हैं. फाइन. तो दैट वाज अबाउट म्यूज़ियम्स. तो हम लोग ने म्यूज़ियम्स और कॉइन्स किस में देखा? मटेरियल सोर्सेस में. ओके, दैट इन मटेरियल सोर्सेस वी गॉट टू नो अबाउट कॉइन्स एंड म्यूज़ियम्स. नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट ओरल सोर्सेस. तो ओरल सोर्सेस क्या है? लेट अस सी. The sources include folk tales, folk songs, proverbs, ballads and ovis. Now what do you mean by ovis, students? Ovis is basically a Marathi words, okay, in oral traditional form. If you have seen people, वो लोग song के through they describe entire event or entire history which was taking place. So that is one example through which you get to know about history. That becomes an oral source. Activists were inspired by the povadas of Lokshahir Annabhau Sathe and Shahir Amar Sheikh during the Samyukta Maharashtra movement. Okay, so there was this movement which was being held, which was known as Samyukta Maharashtra movement. Okay, and these were the two people जिनके povadas आप लोग को सबको पता होगा, right? What do you mean by povadas, student? Have you all ever attended any event जिसमें povadas होते हैं? That is basically they describe the entire history through songs or through music genres. Okay, so that is called as povadas. तो जो लोग शाहिर अन्ना भाऊ साठे थे and there was another person who was शाहिर अमर शेख, इनके povadas से people were really inspired and that is how ये oral source उस टाइम पे फेमस था. that these two people used to sing povadas and people were inspired by them. Now try this. This is something for you guys. You have to try it as in homework, that as an example of how some events get reflected in literature and how a poet perceives that event. Study the poem Avahan, okay, written on the backdrop of Sino-Indian War by the noticed Marathi poet Kusumagraj. Okay, Kusumagraj. Find pieces of literature based on contemporary events. So there was सीनो इंडियन वॉर, सीनो मैंने लास्ट टाइम आपको बोला था, चाइना को सीनो बोलते हैं। तो चाइना और इंडियन के बीच में जो वॉर था उसका डिस्क्रिप्शन ये जो सर है मराठी पोएट कुसुमग्राज, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से डिस्क्राइब किया था इन हिज पोएम आह्वान। ओके, सो यू हैव टू गिव एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ सर्टेन इवेंट्स एंड उन्होंने उसमें वो इवेंट को कैसे डिस्क्राइब किया है वो आपको बताना है। इन द सिमिलर वे यू हैव टू फाइंड अनदर लिटरेचर विच डिपिक्ट्स अ स्टोरी विद इन इटसेल्फ। ओके, सो दिस वुड बी योर होमवर्क। यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट कि आह्वान में कैसा डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है, प्लस वन मोर लिटरेचर विच एक्सप्लेन दिस इवेंट. Okay, now coming towards audio visual sources. Now audio and video, okay, audio and visual के one through which आप सुनते हो and आपको पता चल जाता है, and one is visual के अगर आप उसको देखते हो and आपको पता चल जाता है history. So that is called as audio visual sources. Television, films, internet are called audio visuals media. Many domestic and foreign television channels also come under the head. Example, historic channel, discovery channel, etc. right? तो अभी we are talking about history. तो history के बारे में अगर हमको find करना है तो there are many such channels which are there on our TV. like अगर हम लोग discovery channel find करते तो आपको नया नया discovery पता चलता है, right? In the same way if you find out historic channel या history channel, so that helps you to get information about things which are happening in past. Okay, so there are particular channels which explains you about a particular topic, so that is how also you get to know about history, right? So that again becomes a source of history, that is how you are getting information, and that is called as audio visual sources. Film and Television Institute of India, okay, which is also known as FTII. The Government of India started the Film and Television Institute of India at Pune in 1960 with the purpose of providing public education. Okay, कि ये government ने क्यों start किया था? It was started in Pune in 1960 so that people एक पर्पस होता है. क्या पर्पस है? टू प्रोवाइड देम पब्लिक एजुकेशन. लेट अस सी फर्दर. एन इंस्टीट्यूट कॉल्ड इंडिया न्यूज़ रिव्यू हैज़ प्रोड्यूस वेरियस न्यूज़ रील ऑन इम्पॉर्टेंट इवेंट्स इन पॉलिटिक्स, सोशल इशूज़, आर्ट, स्पोर्ट्स एंड कल्चर. ओके, तो एक इंस्टीट्यूट था विच वॉज नेम्ड एज इंडियन न्यूज़ रिव्यू. So this institute used to produce news reels or important events. Okay, important events which would help you to know कौन से topic पे it was on social issues, art, sports and culture. So on all of these topics, this India News Review institution used to make articles or news reels. Okay, so which further help people. Okay, what was the main aim? To educate people कि अगर लोग इनको पढ़ते हैं तो they will get to know about that particular field, right? अगर मुझे स्पोर्ट्स में इंटरेस्ट है या अगर मुझे कल्चर में अपना इंटरेस्ट है तो इफ़ आई रीड अ बुक which has all of these topic covered, so that would be easy for me as well as it would be helpful for me, right? मुझे एक टाइप का पढ़ाई ही मिल रहा है उसमें से, तो that is how it is important. This department has also produced various documentaries on prominent social leaders, on people who have made major contributions for the country and about important locations in India also. तो हम लोग ने पहले देखा that they have worked on topic like art, social, etc. But they have also worked on topics which includes like a major leader of our India or people who have major contribution for our country. Okay, so all of these टॉपिक या तो कोई इम्पॉर्टेंट लोकेशन या ब्यूटीफुल लोकेशन हो गया इंडिया का, तो उनके ऊपर भी दे हैव प्रोवाइडेड इंफॉर्मेशन. सो दैट फर्दर बिकम्स दैट इज़ हेल्पफुल फॉर एवरी वन हु इज़ रीडिंग इट. These news releases and documentaries are useful for studying the history of modern India, right? कि sometimes हम लोग बोलते हैं कि टेक्स्ट बुक से या बुक पढ़ के नहीं पता चलता. तो if you see now there is an article जिसके ऊपर एक पर्टिकुलर इवेंट के बारे में लिखा है ना, उसे ताजमहल, उसके ऊपर एक पूरा बुक लिखा है एंड ताजमहल पे एक शॉर्ट फिल्म या एक बड़ी सी फिल्म बनाई है सपोज. तो पीपल जब वो फिल्म देखते तो उनको उसके थ्रू दे गेट टू नो मोर rather rather than reading book. Okay, so even this helps, that when they see all of these books or small documentaries, it is helpful for them. They get to know about the topic, plus एक उनका एक अच्छा खासा स्टडी हो जाता है about that particular टॉपिक. देन इट कैन बी ऑल्सो ऑन हिस्ट्री ऑफ मॉडर्न इंडिया, कि अगर आपको अपने इंडिया का हिस्ट्री पढ़ना है तो even that is helpful if you read or watch their articles or documentaries. Okay, now coming towards next page. Now there is again an activity for you all on page number 4, that is try this. Which film about patriotism do you know? In your words, write a review on one such film that you have liked. Okay, so you have to write a particular film that is showing information about patriotism, the love for a country. Okay, patriotism. उसके ऊपर अगर कोई film है तो you have to give a short review, that why do you like that film, what information did you get out of from that film. Okay, that would be again your homework. Till now we have seen some important sources for writing the history of modern India, right? हम लोग ने बहुत सारे sources देखे. हम लोग ने written sources देखा, material sources देखा, oral sources देखा, audio visual sources देखा, right? The terms in the 21st century are changing so rapidly that even these sources will prove to be inadequate, right? That currently we are in 21st century and the technology is so fast that अगर ये सारे source भी कभी change हो जाएंगे, we never know, right? Because the technology which we are using is rapid, like there are almost changes in every few months, so even they are not sure कि ये सारे sources कभी change हो जाएंगे. However, new sources are coming forth. For example, during the transformation from landline to cell phones, a gadget called pager came up for contacting people, but it became dead out as quickly as it had come up. Okay, so वही ये लोग बोल रहे हैं कि since technology is growing up, now if we take an example, when people use landlines, past में people used to use landlines, right? And then there was transformation, that landline कैसा होता था, restricted, right? कि घर पे हो तो घर पे ही लगा सकते हो, but एक नया सोचा कि while someone is traveling they should have a source of communication, and that is how they were trying to use cell phones. So that is how cell phones were invented. So when we were moving from landline to cell phones, there was this instrument which was called as pager. So that was also introduced for communication purpose, but it didn't work very well, and जितना जल्दी वो आया उतना ही जल्दी ख़त्म भी हो गया, like no one used it. So that is what they are saying, that talking about a source and to stay it, कि वो रह जाए वो पीरियड में 21st century में is something which is inadequate. The huge amount of information available on the internet is used for studying history, but the truth and authenticity of the information needs to be verified, right? There is a lot of information which has been provided on internet, but why it is provided? So that people learn about our history, like the things which have happened in past, but is it working for that purpose is something we need to verify and authentify. Okay, now it has become comparatively easy to study history with the help of all of these sources. As the sources are from the contemporary period, they are easily available. Since a subject like history branches all the aspects of our lives, efforts for preservations of such sources are made at all levels. We should also contribute to this effort. Okay, that what they are saying, that studying history from all of these sources has become very easy now. Most of the students don't like this subject because उनका बोलना होता है now the things have happened in past, why we need to learn, but students, it is important, right? Because जो चीज़ आपके पास में हुई है, you should have an idea about it, right? So that is why studying history is very important. now sometimes, okay, students are like, okay, I'll study, fine. I totally agree that I should have information about past, but then when it comes to reading books, I don't like reading books. So when you see a video, it is easy for you all to understand. So all of these sources are very helpful for people, for students to understand history. So history plays a very important role in our life, right? It touches our aspects of our living, right? कि हमारा जो living है उसको वो कोई ना कोई तरीके से इन्फ्लुएंस करता है, एंड दैट इज़ वाई इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वी शुड प्रिजर्व आवर हिस्ट्री, राइट? कि हमें हमारा हिस्ट्री प्रिजर्व करना चाहिए, एंड दैट इज़ वाई यू सी हमारे जो बहुत सारे फोर्ट्स हैं उनका हम लोग ध्यान रखते हैं। क्यों? बिकॉज वही एक दैट इज़ ओनली एन object or thing which has been given to us by the people in the past, and that is why we preserve them, right? So yeah, that was it for today's session. That is what they are saying, that try to get information through all of these sources. Once you get them, try to preserve it. Okay, so that was it for today's session. Now coming towards exercise, there are filling the blanks which you need to find out, like the National Archives of India kahan pe hai, then dash is included among the audio visuals. हम लोग ने, if you have studied the chapter perfectly, if you have gotten idea of the chapter easily, then exercise is something which you could easily do it. Okay students, there is short note on written sources, then press tour of India, which was PTI. Okay, so all of these questions which are included in exercise will be your homework. So that was it for today's session, student. We'll see you all in the next one. Till then, bye bye and take care. Bye.